I've been an adjunct professor for about 1.5 years now, and so I have a lot to share about the pros and cons of being an adjunct professor. And if you are also interested in having an insider look of what it's like to be an adjunct professor, then you are on the right video, so stay tuned. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Gertrude Nontra, and I got my PhD in microbiology and immunology. On this channel, I create videos around career and productivity for students in the biomedical sciences. So if that sounds like you, consider hitting the subscribe button. So like I said, I have been an adjunct professor since the beginning of 2020. So right as I'm recording this, we are at the end of February of 2021. So about 1 year and 2 months. I said 1.5 years, but about 1 year and 2 months. So 3 semesters. This is my 3rd semester being an adjunct professor, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the experience. Okay, I've completely enjoyed the experience, and I think that's because naturally I'm somebody that likes to instruct and teach. Some may even say I'm a little bossy, but that part of me definitely is fulfilled in being a professor and being somebody that teaches other people, and also the impact that you make on people's lives. Like to when students come up to you and say, "Wow, you really made me enjoy this class," or "You really made me fall in love with science," or something like that, or "Because of you," like when you have that sort of impact, it's pretty powerful. So being also able to impact people's lives is something that I think in my personality is something that I need. So being able to make that impact is also amazing. So now let's talk about some pros, right? As far as adjunct teaching is concerned. So as an adjunct, you will be getting experience teaching. And if you don't have any experience teaching, especially for all of my master's and PhD students who may be interested in teaching at some point, this is a great opportunity to get experience to teach. Now, I did my PhD in a medical school, and when I did my PhD, we were not allowed to teach the medical students. In some places, you may be doing a PhD within a department, and you have opportunities to do undergraduate teaching. If you have that experience, then that is good for you. But I did not have that. So coming out into the world and then wanting to, at some point, I really wanted to be in academia and be teaching, that my lack of teaching experience was always a big deal. And so when I landed this job as an adjunct, it really helped with, getting my foot in the door as far as teaching was concerned. So if you don't have any teaching experience and would like some teaching experience, if you can land an adjunct faculty position at a community college or even at a regular university, this will be great teaching experience for me. Now, I was also really blessed and lucky in the sense that the program that I went to teach in, the biology department I went to teach in, the head of department has been teaching there for like 20 years as a full-time professor. So she developed a lot of the curriculum. So I wasn't really developing all the curriculum from scratch. So that was a blessing too, that I was going into a program where all the curriculum and let me tell you, curriculum development is not easy, okay? So the fact that she'd been doing it for 20 years and over all those years had developed the curriculum, and all I had to do was come, take her materials and modify that, was amazing. So if you want to get teaching experience, then I think adjunct teaching is perfect for you. The second pro is that you are not held to the same obligations as a full-time professor. So full-time professors, which is a great gig if you can get it these days. So full-time professors definitely have a lot of obligations outside of teaching that is mandatory for them. Most of the time, as an adjunct, a lot of the other services that you are asked to do within the college is voluntary. You don't have to do it. For full-time faculty, that's not the case. They have to fulfill a certain service portion, and it's mandatory, okay? So you cannot necessarily get out of those things. For an adjunct, you absolutely can get out of some of those voluntary assignments and service projects that you have to do. The great thing, though, is that if you as an adjunct do get involved in some of those voluntary projects, most of the time there is a stipend involved. So for instance, last semester, I was involved in mentoring minority students who were also first-time STEM students, because traditionally or historically, there has been a lot of attrition rate for this population of students. And so I got the opportunity to be a faculty mentor to these students and encourage them on the academic journey. And it was very, very delightful. I didn't have to do it. I did get a stipend as a result, which is some extra pay on top of your adjunct faculty pay. And that was great. But the thing is, I didn't have to do it. But if you're a full-time professor, then most likely that tends to be mandatory. Another aspect of being an adjunct that I love is the flexibility that comes with it. It's completely flexible. You just have to be there when, especially right now that we're doing online teaching, I just have to be there for my online classes, teach those online classes, give my students assignments. They submit everything through education software management system, which is Canvas, and that's it. So it's really, really flexible. I could, from semester to semester, I could ask for certain classes to be adjusted for me if there is room. And it's flexible. So if you wanted to have an adjunct position, and let's say you have a family, that's totally doable. If you wanted to have an adjunct position and then have a full-time job on top of that, that's absolutely possible. I'm actually doing that right now. I have a full-time science writer job, and right now being an adjunct is on the side. It's part-time, but I didn't start out that way. I actually started out as an adjunct and then got a full-time position as a science writer. That's another story for another day. But the point here is that it's really flexible. And so you could pick up just one class or two classes at a college. And I know people that have adjunct positions at multiple colleges, like 2 or 3 colleges. So they'll teach here and then they'll teach there. And it works out for them and they're pretty happy. I don't always understand the rationale behind why somebody may be an adjunct at 2 or 3 colleges, but I guess, survival, people need to survive, and so they'll do whatever it is that they need to do to survive. And some people really do, again, for the reasons I've mentioned before, for the flexibility, for the fact that you're not held to, you don't have to do certain things that are mandatory for full-time professors. I think some people also enjoy that aspect of it, but definitely it is flexible. So now to the cons, to what I have not really enjoyed about adjunct teaching. As you can tell, I have loved so much about adjunct teaching, and I love it. I love teaching. But one of the big things I realize is that most of the time adjuncts don't have benefits. Okay, so if you get an adjunct role, you won't get health insurance, you won't get dental, vision, you won't get all of that. The one benefit that I did get was a retirement account to which, the college automatically takes some money and puts that in there. So that's fine. At the college that I teach at, for the first year, you won't get any benefits, just the first year. After the first year, you can sign up to get some kind of benefit through the college, but I think then you still have to pay for it yourself. It's really, really weird. So you don't get benefits. And that's a big deal, especially for people that need these benefits. If you need health insurance, if you need vision and dental insurance, then adjunct teaching may not be the path to go because there's none. And this can be difficult if, maybe you're managing a chronic condition or, you need the health insurance in some way or form. So that's, I think, a big drawback of being an adjunct faculty. Another thing that I think is a drawback for me is that the true hourly rate of being an adjunct faculty is really, really low. When I think, so you may be getting paid, let's say $70, $80, even $90 an hour as an adjunct, right? Which sounds like a really good rate. But when you factor in the times that you spend reading student reports, right? And let's say you give them an assignment that requires them to write 10, 15 pages and there are 20 students in your class, then you're about to read 200 to 300 pages of student reports. And that time is not necessarily factored into your hourly rate, or the time that you may spend, on grading things. I already mentioned grading, by the time you may spend setting questions. So the hourly rate is not based on all of that. The hourly rate is really based on the number of hours you're teaching. So when you actually calculate how much time you spend by how much you get paid, the hourly rate is really, really, really low as an adjunct. And I think, that's one of the things that being an adjunct professor is notorious for, is being underpaid. And I've actually read articles like this one where there's an adjunct professor that was sleeping in her car, and I thought that was really sad. And so, if you're trying to be rich, definitely not the path to go. Third disadvantage is that if it comes, push comes to shove and the college has to lay people off, usually adjuncts are the first people to get cut. So your job really is not stable. If, enrollment is down for a particular semester, the adjuncts are the first to go. Thankfully, throughout this pandemic, my department has been getting 100% or close to 100% enrollment. So they really are in need of professors and teachers to take on these classes. But reality is that during the course of the pandemic, colleges and universities have suffered with enrollment. And so if you were in an adjunct position, then it's likely that your job was being considered to be cut or has already been cut. And I think that that's really a sad reality of being an adjunct professor. And it's a sad reality for people who have put so much time and money in their education. Anyway, these are the pros and cons that I have encountered over the year and something that I've been adjunct teaching. And I hope that this video was able to help you have an insider look at that. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and leave your comments below. Are you an adjunct professor? How has your experience been? Let me know in the comments below.